My name is Kimberly Brown, and this is lab number 9. This is exercise 1, salt tolerance testing. So we're doing exercise 1, salt tolerance testing. So what we're going to go ahead and do here for the experiment is I have my cultured labs already that we've been using every week. We're going to use the S. epidermis and the S. cervensis. And I already labeled 3 of these with the different pH levels. One is 1%, 7%, not the pH, the salt levels. One is 1%, 7%, and 15%. This is the S. cervensis, which is the yeast. And this is the S. epi. This is the S. epidermis. 1%, 7%, and 15%. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to take our live culture here, the S. cervensis and which is the yeast, and we're going to take the S. epidermis, and we're going to go ahead and pipette, which I have my pipettes here. We're going to pipette 2 drops of each into the salt component broths, and we're going to go ahead and let those grow. So I'm going to do the S. epidermis first. I'm going to take the cap off of this one here. This is our 7%, our 1%, and our 15%. I'm going to go ahead and sterilize all of these with my flame. So this is our salt components. We're sterilizing the 1%, 7%, and 15%. I'm going to go ahead and take our S. epidermis, which is this tube here. This is our culture. I'm going to take the lid off the culture. This is our cultured component that we've been using every week. I'm going to go ahead and sanitize. I'm going to take our pipette here. It's all wrung out. I'm going to take 2 drops. We're going to do 2 drops into the 1, 2 drops into the 7. We need a little bit more. And 2 drops into the 15. Sorry, I'm running low on the S. epidermis, so I'm trying to get as much as I can in there. I'm going to go ahead and put the pipette in there. We're going to sanitize each of the coverings. So this is our culture, our grown culture, the S. epidermis. This is our 1%, our 7%, and our 15%. We've sanitized all, so I'm going to put the lids back on our growth culture here. This is the S. epidermis. I'm going to put the lids back onto the 1%. Keep them to culture here. The 7%. I'm going to keep it to culture here. And lastly, our 15. I've already sanitized all of the lids here. And now we have the 3 that are culturing with the S. epidermis. The 1%, the 7, and the 15. Set that aside. And we're going to do the same thing here with our S. cervensis, the yeast. Going to take that here. We have our growth culture here. Go ahead and take the lid off. Set it aside. I'm going to take, this is our 1%, our 7%, and our 15% for our sodium, the saline here. This one right here is our growth culture, the 1, the 7, and the 15. Going to take our pipette here. It's already all dried out. Going to take some of our S. cervensis, going to put 2 drops, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Going to go ahead and put it back in there, and I forgot to sanitize, but I'll sanitize before I put the cube, before I put the lids back on. So hopefully that doesn't affect my experiment here. I'm going to put the lid on our active growth culture here. This is our culture. Stick it back in there, and then we have our 1%, our 7%, and lastly we have our 15%. These are our saline serums. So I'm going to go ahead and grow these. This is our S. cervantes, the yeast, our active growth culture into the saline. So we have our S. cervantes here, and I have our S. epidermis here. We're going to go ahead and grow these, and we're going to check back on them in a little bit to see how the growth factor is going and see what kind of results we can get. I'll take a picture so we can get accurate results. All right, thank you.